Yo, what's up guys, it's Talon. Today we're going to be reviewing a relatively high elo Warwick game where we have me and another Sovereign as well as a Challenger and then two Grandmasters on our team. So a bit of a higher elo game, showing you guys just how to play Warwick essentially. I mean, I've already obviously made videos on Warwick in the past, but I thought I'd kind of go over another gameplay where we do end up carrying the game pretty hard and kind of just talking about a lot of the strategies behind Warwick top lane. One of the best picks in Baron lane right now, in my opinion, and definitely very underrated as well. I don't think a lot of people really rate this champion as highly as they should. So one of the main reasons that he is really strong is because he's just so easy to play. Like, you literally in lane can just basically disregard your life because you heal so much that as long as you go like somewhat close to even in a trade, you're just going to heal it all up. Like, you can even out sustain a Garen in lane, which Garen is a very known champion for sustain. I can trade with him down a level even. Normally I would tell you guys not to trade down a level, but when I'm Warwick I can do it because then I just get to heal it all back up again. I thought he might be backing in the bush, so I checked that. Turns out he wasn't. And so yeah, again, just basically focusing on constantly trading, getting whatever type of lead I can, not really too worried about my health. The only thing you have to be aware of is kind of jungle timing. So jungle can gank you around say 130 to 150. Might be a common time if your jungle's pathing away where you might get ganked, and that's why at that time you need your wave to be in a similar spot to how you see mine, where my wave is much larger than his. I have the minions being built up, and so these minions give me not only a potential level diff, but they also kind of give me some protection if someone tries to come and gank me within the wave. Not only is it harder to land skill shots, but they also take damage from the wave, and I can potentially, you know, use the wave to tank and everything like that. And then you look for a wave crash angle here or a dive angle, depending on how the lane is then looking at this point. So you see, again, we build up this really nice wave. We realize, you know, am I going to kill him? Probably not. So finding a recall angle instead makes a lot of sense to then just get that tempo advantage for my recall on the to get my boots, and then have this sort of tempo advantage where now I'm coming to the lane first. He either has to recall or he stays in lane. Sorry, I'm yawning. I don't know why. It's like 3 p.m., but I am. But he either stays in lane, gets stuck here like you see here, or he recalls and then I get back to the lane first. Either way, it's an advantageous situation for me, and now I'm in a position where now my jungler's on my side of the map, and I'm still, you know, having a really good wave, having a bit of an advantage. And then since he took the Scorpion, what I'm doing is killing the Scorpion right before it last hits these minions so that he loses those minions. So he actually loses out on the gold on these minions because the Scorpion got them really low, but then died before I could collect the XP and gold for him. So that's another thing. If they end up staying and then grabbing the Scorpion, make sure you take advantage of something like that. But again, I just don't care. Like, I'm happy to trade with him. I'm going for Sunder this game to have some better trades. You can go Sunder, you can go Trinity. Both really work well. I like Sunder into the tankier matchups, and definitely Trinity if they're like middle to squishy. Usually that's how I go about the itemization. Then Terminus or Wit's End. Go Wit's End if they have a lot of AP. Terminus otherwise. And then usually if I don't go Wit's End, third item, I'll either go Blade of the Rune King third item or go Wit's End third item instead of second item, depending on the game, right? Just depends. And then we'll go for some tank items like Twin Guard and Spear Visage. But you can see we're in the same spot again where the wave was on our side of the map because we traded with him, he pushed the wave, and then now I can fight him really hard in my wave when I'm also up on XP. Just overall, I'm stronger as well because of the recalls and because of just my champion strength. And so then we end up just getting a really hard trade on him. And then again, I'm able to sustain up on the wave, build up a big wave, have the Scorpion coming and spawning too. Just pretty much everything going really well for us at this point. So this is commonly what you do. And again, you can see how, because it's like a higher level game, the Garen probably isn't as low rank as the average person I'm going to lane against, and so he's not getting completely destroyed. But even when he plays pretty well, we're still able to get all of these advantages here, and then we end up getting the Ignite onto him, and then eventually finding the all-in angle onto him. And so that's usually what you're kind of waiting for. You just keep chipping those people down with the constant poke. Your constant sustain is always going to let you outlast pretty much anyone, and then you're going to find yourself in a spot where you see an all-in angle, and you're going to take it like I did there. And from there, it's pretty straightforward. We push the wave, we crash it, recall, now we're up 1,000 gold onto a Garen. And Garen is a very hard champion to get a lead on, so the fact that we can get a 1k gold lead on him is definitely pretty significant. And so yeah, I mean, you're kind of going to see later on in the game as well just the limits of Warwick. Like, when you do get quite strong, this champion really can go in and just has such absurd limits. I was trying to think of a title for this video. Maybe it'll be something to do with how high the champion's limits are. Normally I know what my title is going to be before I create the video, but I was kind of lazy today and didn't really think about what video I would create. I don't know why I'm telling you guys this. I'm just, you know, saying words as we watch myself hit some minions as we wait. And because the enemy jungle is opposite side, we're pretty much just trying to set up a wave so that our teammate can possibly drop the Herald here. And again, just poking out the Garen as much as possible so that Garen is diveable if our jungler does decide to, you know, gank us. And also just trying to keep Garen at 50% or below if we can, so that our passive W activates onto him, and then we're able to find all-in angles or something like that. So since he ends up staying here, I pretty much just want to deny him the fruit, and then pretty much just look for an all-in angle, which you can see that we do just that here, and we end up killing him, getting the dive off. So when you're playing these early game champions like Warwick especially, that's exactly what you want to do. You want to constantly be building up these waves. So notice how there's kind of a cycle, right? I'll trade a bit, the wave will get towards my tower, I'll freeze it there for a second, wait for the next wave to come, build up that giant wave, and then I'll try to crash that wave. And crashing that wave, it either lets me dive like you saw here, it lets me trade because I have a level diff, it lets me grab Scorpion, build up a bigger wave, potentially solo dive, or it allows me to recall, as you saw in the initial first couple levels where I recalled from my boots because I knew I couldn't really punish him. So this is the type of wave management you're going to be going through as a early game top laner, most games. That's kind of just the basic cycle to follow. More often than not, you're going to want that wave being built up bigger when your jungle's coming, because if your jungle's coming, you can build up a dive like you saw there. But even if I was to be ganked by the enemy jungle, having that big wave is still really good. So it's really just a very OP kind of strategy with your wave that you can do frequently, and it usually leads to big leads. And here we have almost a 2,000 gold lead, and we've already taken 2 turrets, courtesy of the Herald. So thank you very much, Herald, for that. Good flash by Yasuo so he doesn't die there as well. And then again, now, once you get to this point in the game, you get a lead. You know, if you don't suck on Warwick, you should get a lead nearly every game. Some of you guys might suck though, you know, so I got to take that into account. But either way, if you don't suck and you get a lead and you don't get ganked too much, you're going to end up just wanting to constantly push this wave out, and then you can look to rotate after you push the wave. So now that I've pushed the wave, I have some control. Now I can look to rotate and you know, take my talents towards the middle lane, kind of like LeBron James did to the Miami Heat. I don't really know what I'm saying. I'm just like saying a lot of words right now. Like I really don't know why. But either way, I killed the Lee Sin now. Yeah, so I don't even know what I'm saying at this point. But yeah, again, Lee Sin died. We went towards the mid lane. Probably shouldn't have even traded this aggressively with the Garen, frankly, but at this point we kind of realized let's just get the wave pushed out and then go right back towards the mid lane again. So it's kind of a similar cycle. Once again, you have that lead through the early wave management tips we spoke about. Then you just start getting pressure on the side lanes as much as possible. Once you pushed out those side lanes, you can start to rotate. If you see an angle to kill someone, you can trade with them more aggressively. But you see now I'm drawing their echo towards me. My teammates got kills in the bot lane. Mid laner is just pressuring the turret. Garen's chasing me again, even though he's definitely not going to be able to kill me. And we can pretty much just walk through after we fear him out. Pretty straightforward. Get the turret in the mid lane. And again, now just all of the tier 1 turrets have already died. We've done a very successful job of snowballing. Our team is doing pretty well. Additionally, and so then we're pretty much just looking for wherever we can further our lead. You know, is that a jungle camp that we can take? Is that just recalling to make sure we set up, you know, get ourselves proper amounts of gold? Is that picking off an enemy, you know, that we see is easy to kill? Is that running into 4 people and dying? I don't think it is, but that's what I chose to do. So, you know, a little unfortunate there. Don't do what I did in that situation. Got a little impatient, got a little cocky with the lead. And that is definitely an issue a lot of people have, though, myself included. You get a big lead, you start trying to go a bit too ham when you don't really need to. A lot of times, after you get these like outer turrets, you kind of have a lull moment, you know, where you don't have much to do until the next objective spawns, because all the outer turrets are killed. We're realistically not going to get more tier 2 turrets. So I kind of could just be a bit more patient with pushing the wave, not doing something so aggressive, but, you know, it isn't the end of the world. I didn't expect all of them would be there, obviously, you know, at the time, but either way, we just go back towards the top lane again. Need to make sure we get this top lane pushed out and then potentially rotate to the objective if possible. Utilizing the passive to kind of see if I can chase anyone down as well, of course. But I'm totally happy to just be pushing this wave. Teammates getting pressure in the mid, getting a kill as well. So, I mean, yeah, overall, the game is going pretty well here. I think I look for an ult or something, but yeah, we don't end up getting it. And so I just decide to go straight towards the objective rather than covering that top lane, because the top lane is still slightly pushing. So I don't have to be there unless someone else goes there, like on the enemy team. So because of that, I'd rather have control over the objective initially, so I can see if I can potentially, you know, carry the fight or anything like that. I'm pretty confident that I'm not going to get one shot here with my third ability, my ultimate, my healing and everything. So I'm kind of just waiting, seeing if I can find an ult on anyone. Then we go on to the Lux and one-shot her, because my champion is balanced. And then you see all the damage we got on the Lee Sin as well. Solid hook by my teammate there. And then instead of just going straight into the fight 1 HP, we look for some healing. We end up grabbing this fruit, trying to then go heal off the mid wave, I believe, instead of just forcing the fight right away. So that's a pretty common thing that you're going to see as well. Obviously, Echo ends up chasing us, but typically, you know, if an early fight goes decently well, but you get pretty low, really important to try healing off the wave or something along those lines, and then go back into the fight a lot stronger. And you can see this constant healing, like an Echo just can't really one-shot me or anything like that, and now we're just able to go into the fight, once again finding a flank angle, having the third ability, so I'm very tanky, as you can see, and I have more healing just once again as soon as it comes back up. So we grab the kill on the Garen. Really kind of your job in these, or at these points in the game, is one-shot the squishy, and then also draw a lot of pressure, use your healing to be annoying, run around, kind of just be a whole, like, you know, basically just be a distraction. You're not really going to solo carry a lot of fights, especially if you're not super ahead. But what you are going to do is just constantly distract people, make them run all around, and then eventually pick off someone who's low or who's squishy, and then you're going to find a moment like this where you're able to go in, get a couple kills for your team. But you really have to be patient. Like, you saw a lot of patience within these fights where I was waiting for the right moment to go in. I was using my healing to make sure that, you know, the wave would sustain me so that I wouldn't take too much damage, and then eventually we find a moment to go in like that, and all of a sudden, you know, the fight goes very well, right? We did lose the objective, but at the end of the day, it's not a big deal. 7-1 Warwick, you know, is usually going to be really solid going into the mid game, because if you get a big lead as well, like, you can one-shot these squishies, but if you don't get ahead, you're usually not able to fully one-shot them. And so that's also why it's pretty important to kind of have that lead. Now I have my 3 damaging items, so I'm switching into the tankier side of things now. Not building Gargoyle like I normally do, because they have anti-shield on the Lee Sin, I believe. And so we end up just not doing that. And then again, the reason that I go mid here instead of bottom lane right away is because the bottom lane's already pushing. And so the enemy have to go to bottom lane before I do, because it's pushing into them. So I can use this time to just grab some pressure in the middle lane. Say that the lane was pushing into me on bot side, then I would go bot first, and then I would come back here. So that's an important thing to understand. For some reason, Echo tries to chase me. I tried to ult him to catch him. I was super close. If we were able to get the ult off like half a second earlier, we would have killed him. But it is what it is. And then again, just notice how I'm being patient. I'm sustaining off the wave. I'm not just forcing. Even though my team is getting caught here and we're not in an ideal spot, I'm still being patient, just using my champion's poke to then eventually find a one-shot angle onto the Garen. Look how much damage we do at this point in the game to a freaking Garen, right? So, like, that's the type of thing I'm looking for at this point. Just being a distraction again. Notice how 3 people are scared just because I'm there. Like, they're that scared of the dog. And so then I eventually, again, wait for my moment. We find the time to flash in, and all of a sudden we get a couple kills. I do end up dying, but we get a couple kills out of it beforehand. And so even though the fight doesn't go super well, you can see how that patience, that not like going in right away, a lot of people definitely would have been impatient, gone in quicker, and probably ended up dying and then kind of losing the game off of that. And that's what you have to understand when you're really fed, especially, is like your life matters more than your teammates. So if your teammates randomly do something dumb or die or whatever, you can't just, you know, burn everything just to try to save their life. Sometimes you just have to accept that they're dead, you know, go in afterwards, be patient, wait for someone to get low, and then you're going to be able to at least stall the game out like you saw here. And yeah, again, like, I'm still very strong at this point, nearly 4 items, and we're just going to look potentially push out the side lane. And so you can see here the side lane was pushing, and so I was initially pathing bot lane because it was pushing. But then what I realized is I can give up that turret and make a play to possibly get my team the Baron, and so that's what we decided to do instead. So I end up going to zone, going straight onto the Lux, trying to kill her, getting her 1 HP, but not quite killing her. But zoning this many people off, even if I die, is totally worth it in the end, because my team's going to be able to get the Baron off of it. And so using my side lane pressure, or rather my pressure on the, you know, outside of the Baron, basically, to make sure the enemy don't have a great chance of stealing. Still got kind of scary there at the end, but that was the overall goal. I was okay with giving up those turrets to Garen just for that reason, especially because I was so far ahead of him already. But definitely, you know, depends on the game type of situation, where sometimes you would need to cover that Garen. But in this case, I thought we're not going to lose an inhib out of it. We can get the Baron. It can help us end the game quicker. Should be fine. And so yeah, basically the takeaways from this game are: 1, you can see how, you know, good Warwick's limits are. You can see how important patience is on Warwick and on champions just in general. And you can just see the early game strength and how to kind of utilize that early game strength through the wave management that we spoke about. And so again, I'm going to give up the turret to the Echo. Why do I give up the turret? Because they have 2 dragons. if each team had one dragon, I wouldn't care because it wouldn't be soul. But since they have 2 dragons, there's soul on the line, and so it's important for me to deny the potential of soul, which is exactly why we're going to end up going in, trying to one-shot someone, which we do successfully do. I think we flash onto the Varus, get him as well. So overall, pretty fed at this point, and I think we kill Garen as well. Yeah, should kill the Garen. Takes a minute, you know, pretty boring, just chomping at him a lot, but we end up killing him in the end. And so at this point, you know, the game is pretty straightforward to end, right? We have the Baron, have the lanes pushing. We denied the soul. Pretty much did everything that we needed to do to carry this game. Didn't play Warwick for a while as well, because I've been playing other roles, but I got auto-filled, so wanted to show you guys former rank 1 Warwick, playing Warwick again. Probably will play him a little more next season, but I'll probably be queuing mostly mid lane next season, I think. I plan on doing solo queue only to challenge, or to Sovereign rather. Playing mid lane, I think. That's probably going to be the plan. And then you see another one shot here. And just look like somehow I don't die. Like, I have no idea how I don't die here. Like, how? How? I don't know how, but I lived, I guess. And then we buy the TP so that we can TP in style to end the game. And yeah, basically just wanted to show you guys this video of Warwick, show you the limits. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.